Did you know that the humble chewing gum, something millions of people enjoy today, is actually tied to a mind-blowingly audacious monopoly scandal? Stop scrolling, because this story will change the way you view America's sweetest obsession. Picture this. It's the early 20th century, and America is absolutely crazy about chewing gum. It's the cool thing. Street corners, candy shops. Everywhere you looked, people were chomping down on gum. What might seem like just a tiny pleasure was rapidly becoming big business. In fact, behind the scenes, a brewing war was about to change the landscape of the industry forever. Enter William Wrigley Jr. Yes, that Wrigley. By the 1910s, Wrigley's company was dominating the chewing gum industry. But here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't just due to good flavors or clever marketing, though Wrigley had plenty of that. It was strategic, ruthless, and shockingly daring monopolistic tactics that cemented their grip on the market. In 1914, while other gum companies were struggling to secure their piece of the pie, Wrigley did something utterly unheard of. He partnered with the chewing gum-based suppliers, effectively controlling the production and pricing of the essential raw material needed by the entire industry. Yes, you heard that right. Wrigley didn't just compete. He squeezed out his competition by monopolizing the ingredients for chewing gum itself. Imagine being a smaller company during this time. You wanted to launch your own brand of gum? Too bad. Wrigley's control over the primary ingredient pushed the prices so high that smaller businesses couldn't afford it. Some shut down. Others sold out to him entirely. The playing field wasn't just uneven. It was as tilted as a seesaw with a sumo wrestler on one end. By 1920, estimates suggest that Wrigley Company controlled over 80% of the American chewing gum market. And if that wasn't enough, their sly marketing tactics made sure everyone remembered their name. Ads displayed everywhere. Billboards, newspapers, magazines, even postcards handed out on the street. They targeted adults, children, and everyone in between with their famous slogan, "Double your pleasure, double your fun." Of course, monopolistic practices catch attention, and not everyone was happy with Wrigley's empire building. In 1925, lawsuits surfaced against Wrigley, claiming they established unfair monopolistic practices and violated antitrust laws. The government began probing Wrigley Company, shedding light on their behind-the-scenes maneuvers, from aggressively buying out smaller competitors to controlling gum-based suppliers like puppet strings. But William Wrigley Jr. was no ordinary businessman. When faced with lawsuits and legal pressure, he leaned into his public image as a pioneer of good hygiene and happy times, instead of some corporate bully. Wrigley funded public campaigns that tied chewing gum to health benefits. Ever wondered why gum was suddenly marketed as something that freshens your breath or cleans your teeth in the 1920s? That was Wrigley's brilliant spin. Additionally, Wrigley opened the largest gum manufacturing plant in the world near Chicago during the legal battle. His reasoning? To signal growth, progress, and the American dream, diverting attention from the ethical qualms of his business practices. You might be wondering, what happened to the company after this scandal? Well, let's fast forward to the 1930s. With the Great Depression wreaking havoc on the economy, consumers weren't splurging on luxuries like gum anymore. This forced Wrigley to lower prices and compete differently. Yet, despite the financial downturn, the legal precedent had already shifted. Several large companies leveraged the Wrigley scandal to demand stricter enforcement of antitrust laws. In many ways, Wrigley's actions set the tone for corporate accountability in future decades. Interestingly, the company survived the scandal and thrived. By creating famous products like Juicy Fruit and Spearmint, they rebranded themselves into cultural staples. Today, Wrigley is a household name, though under the umbrella of Mars Incorporated, a far cry from the monopolistic monster it once was. So, why does this matter? You might think, well, that's just chewing gum. But history teaches us that no industry is too small to be manipulated by corporate giants. Wrigley's scandalized rise serves as a reminder of how unchecked power can crush competition. And who would have thought a story about chewing gum could uncover so much economic intrigue and drama? By the end of this video, you'll never look at a pack of gum the same way. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you unwrap a stick of juicy fruit or pop a Wrigley's spearmint into your mouth, you'll chew a little slower and think about the events that made it possible. Thanks for tuning into Historical Hidden Gems. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more wild tales from the annals of history, and comment down below. What's the strangest historical story you want to know about? This has been a messy, sticky trip through America's chewing gum monopoly. Until next time.